Hey everyone, welcome to Plants and Politics. So I thought it would be fun to take a look at some of these affidavits that Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani keep waving around on TV as if this is the Kraken and they've got it. They've got all the evidence. They've failed to convince a single judge of widespread voter fraud in about 20 lawsuits now. So as you're going to hear, they contain feelings rather than facts. And some contain some of the most laughable complaints that have nothing whatsoever to do with voter fraud. And so I'm going to go over those, but then I'm also going to play a clip for you from one of Trump's most ardent supporters, Lou Dobbs, where you're going to see a train wreck of an interview with one of these so-called witnesses. So here we go. So first, one affidavit was signed by a woman who complained that while she was acting as a poll watcher, she was told, quote, "Go back to the suburbs, Karen." Ooh. Now, that proves voter fraud for sure. I mean, if you're insulting someone and calling them Karen, oh my God, like, how dare you? You must be committing voter fraud. It's so stupid. Next up is a guy who got a tiny little itty bitty taste of what it's like to be a person of color in this country when dealing with the police. So a man named James Frago complained in an affidavit that when he tried to enter a ballot counting room, Detroit police officers refused to allow him entry. Now that doesn't sound good, right? Well, as it turns out, the officers informed Mr. Frago that there were already enough GOP poll watchers in the room. Frago apparently stuck his foot in the door so that they couldn't close it all the way. And while this was going on, the officers asked him to remove his foot. He insisted, though, that they tell him how many GOP watchers were in the room. And so because he refused to remove his foot, Frago was handcuffed, placed in a patrol car, and issued a misdemeanor citation for disturbing the peace. Frago stated in his affidavit, quote, "At no time did I swear at the officers." Oh, wait, James, you mean to tell me that you did nothing wrong, but you were arrested anyway? You don't say. Gee, that never happens in America. Next up is a poll watcher named Jacqueline Zaplinty, I believe is how you pronounce this, or Zaplinty, I'm not sure. She signed an affidavit complaining that some poll workers were wearing Black Lives Matter gear. And she complained that a man, quote, "a man of intimidating size had followed too closely behind her." So when people called her out online for racism, she argued that the only reason she brought it up was because it was a double standard because people couldn't wear campaign gear in the ballot counting facilities. Jacqueline, as far as I know, there's no political party or candidate known as Black Lives Matter. These people confuse the request for equality under the law with politics all the time. I mean, it must be because their brand of politics is anti-equality. So they assume if you're asking for equality, it must be related to politics. But anyway, let's move on to the next lunatic crybaby. So another Republican poll watcher signed an affidavit complaining about how loud the PA system was. No, I'm not kidding. He whined, yes, it's a man, he whined that when people were using the PA system to make announcements, it was too loud. It hurted his ears. He said in his affidavit, quote, "This was very distracting to those of us trying to concentrate." And another poll watcher signed an affidavit because he found it very suspicious that so many military members cast votes for Biden. He was all suspicious.
It's all suspicious. Where was Sunday? Where had I left Sunday? And I told him and he didn't believe me.
So this other person, he said in his affidavit, quote, I can estimate that at least 80% of military ballots I saw were straight ticket Democrat or simply had Joe Biden's name filled in on them. I had always been told that military people tended to be conservative, so this stuck out to me. If he had been paying attention to anything, he would know that polls taken over the past year showed a massive erosion of support for Trump among military personnel. And if he bothered to watch or listen to anything other than faux news channel or OAN, he would know that many military leaders, especially, have spoken out against Trump. And they went on the record, they publicly stated that they were going to vote for Biden. Oh my God. That's kind of what happens when your dear leader is outed for calling military members suckers and losers. Where has this guy been? Yeah, wake up, guy. Wake up. Even the military, even people who have been conservative throughout their lives are turning on Trump. That's called a clue. But on to the next laughable allegation. So one poll watcher complained in an affidavit that, quote, I felt intimidated by union people who were staring at me. Who are these people? They call us snowflakes? But wait, there's more. So one Chinese woman said that she was told, quote, you are not American. Now, if that's true, that's unacceptable. It's gross. That should not happen. However, how is this related in any way, shape, or form to voter fraud? And some affidavits contain complaints about being required to maintain a distance of 6 feet. Again, not voter fraud. That's been litigated. That was thrown out of court. Others question why ballots were in good condition. Seriously, one poll watcher wrote in their affidavit that a group of absentee ballots, quote, appeared in pristine condition, as if they had never gone through the U.S. Postal Service. Yeah, you know who else's ballots didn't go through the U.S. Postal Service? Millions of Americans like me who walk their ballots in and hand them to poll workers on election day or at other locations during early voting periods. I always walk it in. In fact, I hand all ballots for my entire family to poll workers on election day. So every one of my family members would have pristine ballots that never went through the Postal Service. I do it because it's easier. I know that it's been received. I know who took possession of them. I know for sure that they made it in on time. Where have these people been hiding? So, but according to the court filings, the majority of the affidavits and complaints had to deal with two different recurring themes. So the first is the entering of a birth date into the system. So apparently in Detroit, their system sometimes requires a date of birth be entered for the voter. Because absentee ballot clerks don't have access to that information, though, they're taught to enter January 1, 1900. That's just a placeholder. It just allows them to continue on because, as we all know, if we've ever filled out an online form, some things are required. If you don't put them in, you can't move on. So the attorneys for the city confirmed this is done regularly. This is 100% legal. It's not voter fraud. The second issue that kept coming up has to do with the duplication of ballots. Here's what this is about. If a ballot can't be read for some reason, so let's say there's a food stain or an ink blot or something, an extra mark on it, the machine spits it out and election workers are required to create a clean duplicate ballot. They have to duplicate it exactly as it was. All votes are identical to the original. So poll watchers complained that they weren't included in this process. But city authorities said that that's standard practice. Poll watchers are not allowed to take part in that process. Now, I would assume, one would imagine, that that rule is in place to protect the privacy of voters. And that leads us to the hilarious comedy otherwise known as a Lou Dobbs interview gone wrong. So take a look.
Let me start with the most egregious part of what I read in your affidavit. Multiple counts of the same ballots. How did that happen?
So the workers are handed ballots in stacks of 50s. They are referred to as batches, and they run them through the tabulators. When the ballot has any kind of a mark on it, it'll stop. The tabulator will stop completely, and the computer will put up an error, and it'll say, ballot number 25 has an error. And
right.
So the process would be to take ballot number 25, as well as all of the other ballots that had already went through the tabulator, off, put them back in a pile, put ballot number 25 on top of the stack, discard the whole batch, and rescan it.
And instead they went through that process several times. Describe the night shift chaos that you described. Food vans apparently showing up, but not with food, but with ballots, apparently. Give us a sense of what happened there.
So I worked a 24-hour shift. I started at 6 a.m. and I got off at 6 p.m. or 6 a.m. The next day. So I started at 6 a.m. November 3rd, got off at 6 a.m. November 4th. So I was there during their day shift and their night shift. The city provides the workers with food for their shift. Well, they only had enough food for 1/3 of their workers.
Boy.
So that is the reason why they were claiming that these vans were brought in. But these vans did not have food taken out of them.
And the vans that showed up, they were supposed to be filled with food. What did they have in them? Do you know?
I never saw anything being brought out of the vans. I know that whatever was being brought out of the vans was being brought out of the back of the vans, but I was not allowed over in that area at all. But the vans were definitely not big enough to be carrying enough food for 2/3 of those workers.
Not only did this woman make me want to light my hair on fire because she takes so long to say something so short, but what the hell is she talking about? This is all I could think of while this woman was talking.
Me mechanic not speak English, but he know what me mean when me say car no go, and we best friends. So me think, why waste time, say lot word when few word do trick?
So I think she could learn something from Kevin. Less words, fewer words, or at least speak faster. So she saw food trucks, and immediately her mind fills in the blank. Somehow she knew they weren't filled with food, right? Because not enough people had food. So immediately she knows something's wrong. She never actually saw what was in the trucks. She didn't see anything being unloaded. She didn't see anything being loaded. But that automatically in her mind meant that there must be voter fraud. Oh my God. Her poor husband. Can you imagine what all he gets accused of for no reason? Like, you put the toilet paper on backwards. That's the first time you've ever done that since we've been married. It couldn't possibly be a mistake. You must be cheating on me. Where do they find these people? Oh my God. Okay, so That's our laugh for the day, guys. As always, like, share, subscribe. Thank you for watching and listening. As always, take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for listening to Plants and Politics. The only way we can take our country and power back is to spread the truth and build an army. So remember to like, follow, subscribe, and share on Facebook, YouTube, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thanks again.